We're going to go ahead and look at dividing by a decimal, and then we'll do several examples. So here are some steps that you can work through. It says make the divisor, and remember the divisor is the number you're dividing by. Make that a whole number by multiplying it by a power of 10. So 10, 100, 1,000, whatever it might be. And then multiply the dividend by the same power of 10. So for example, if you had 27 and 17 thousandths divided by 6 and 19 hundredths, it's saying multiply both. So here's what you're dividing by. Multiply that by the power of 10 that we would need to make it a whole number. Well, to make it a whole number, we would need to multiply by something with 2 zeros. We just count the number of decimal places, so we would multiply this by 100, which means we would multiply the 27 and 17 thousandths by 100. So this is the same as dividing. So we're going to do, really when you multiply by 100, we're going to move the decimal place over 2 places. And we want to move it over 2 places because of this one. So 2701.7 divided by 619. And then you go ahead and divide. So this is going to be 619 into 2,701 and 7/10, and then we put the decimal place where we want it, and we divide. The reason this works is we can actually write this as a fraction. We haven't dealt with fractions a whole lot yet, but you've seen them in the past, and we actually learned already this year that if we multiply by 1, it doesn't change the value of this number. Multiplying by 1, it's the identity property. It's not going to change what this is equal to, but it can change the form. So we're going to multiply by this special form of 1. And this special form of 1 is going to be 100 over 100. Because anything divided by itself is 1. And we multiply that by 100, which does move the decimal place over 2 places. And so we can go ahead and do a couple of these. So we have 2 and 46 hundredths divided by 15 hundredths. We want to take what we're dividing by, and we can do this at this point or a little later, but we want to move this one 2 places. So we have to move this one 2 places because that's like multiplying by 100. So this is really 15 into 246. And we would divide 15 into 24 as once. Now we multiply. 1 times 15 is 15. Subtract, we get 9. Bring down the 6. 15 into 96 is 6. 0, add the 3. This is 9. So we bring it 6. And then we bring down the 0. This is where our decimal place is, so we make sure we put that in the right spot. 15 into 60 goes 4 times. And then that's 60. We subtract, get 0, and there is our answer, 16 and 4/10. Let's try another one. This time we have 7/10 divided by 5 thousandths. And I wanted to show you one other thing, actually up here. We actually could have not moved our decimal place here. We could have written our division problem. So this is another option of how to look at it. 0.15 divided into 2 and 46 hundredths. When it's in this form, you can move your decimal place over twice in this case, and then the decimal would go here and you line up your decimal here. So in this one, we can realize we're dividing over here by 5 thousandths. And so there's three numbers to the right of the decimal. And so we want to move this over 3 places, kind of like multiplying by 1,000, which means we want to move this decimal over 3 places. Well, there wasn't really 3 places, so we have to fill in some zeros. So this is actually going to be 5 into 700. Now, just like I mentioned before, we could have written this out as our long division question, and we could have moved the decimal place here. So we had to move it 3 places here, 1, 2, 3 places here, and fill in the zeros as necessary. And so now we do the division. This is 5 into 7, which is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. We subtract 2, bring down the 0, we get 20. 5 into 20 is 4. 20, 0, and we bring down a 0, and 5 goes into 0 times with a remainder of 0. So our answer is 140. So here's a skill check. This is something for you to think through. It just wants you to put the decimal in the proper location. So if you want to, you can pause it and do that. Actually, that's for the next, you can pause it and do that. So okay, here we go. We're going to move this over 1 place because it's tenths. We're going to make it 4, which means this moves over 1 place. The decimal would go here, and then the decimal would go right above it in the quotient. Number 2, this is hundredths. We could think we're going to multiply this by 100, or move it 2 places to the right. Move it 2 places to the right, which means our decimal would go right between the 3 and the 5. Same idea. This gets moved twice, so this gets moved twice. And then the last one gets moved once. So our decimal would go here. All right, the next ones we just are going to divide. So once again, you can pause and go through these 4 questions and then unpause it and see what I did here. All right, number 5. This is 8/10, so we have to move the decimal over once in both parts because it's really like we're multiplying both by 10. And we're going to go ahead and put our decimal right above this one. 8 into 3 doesn't work. We can't do that, so we put a 0. Now we try 8 into 37. 8 into 37, that's 4 times. So 8 times 4 is 32. 37 minus 32 is 5. Bring down the 6, and 8 into 56 is 7. 7 times 8 is 56, and we get 0. So our answer is 47 hundredths. For this one, this is in the thousandths, so we have to move the decimal place 3 in both of them. 1, 2, and we have to go ahead and put a 0 in here. We'll continue this out and put a 0 here. 3 into 1 doesn't work, so we go 3 into 14 is 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract, we get 2. We bring down the 7. 3 into 27 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27, so that's 0. Don't forget about this 0 that we just had. We bring down the 0. 3 into 0 is 0 times, and we get 0. So we don't actually need to write the decimal there, or we don't need it. It's helpful to know we're finished. So the answer is 490. Last couple. For number 7, we want to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So our decimal will be right above that. And our quotient, 6 into 30, is 5. 5 times 6 is 30. We subtract, we get 1. Bring down the 12, and 6 into 12 is 2. Perfect. And then 4.5, we move the decimal over once in both of these. We put our decimal place in the proper location in the quotient, and then we divide. 45 into 8 doesn't work. We put a 0. 45 into 81, it's actually just 1, because 2 times 45 would be 90. So 45, we need to subtract 7. So 11 minus 5 is 6. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down the 9. 45 into 360. It's probably going to be about 8. So let's try 8. 8 times 5 is 40. And 8 times 4 is 32 plus 4 is 36. Oh, good. It works. We subtract, we get 9. We're not finished yet because the remainder wasn't 0. We didn't get a 0, so bring down a 0. 45 into 90, that's 2. And 2 times 45 is 90. Now we have a 0. So our answer is 182 thousandths. And that is how you divide decimals by